So still absent, which is of course not ideal. Trying to make this as beneficial to you as possible. And in one way it's going to potentially benefit you is that we're once again delaying our logo critique. So if you don't have that turned in, which it looks like most all of us do, but not everyone, if you do not have that turned in, make sure it gets turned in before we can critique it together. And I had mentioned in the previous video that I do want to critique it together because I want to do a pretty thorough job of discussing it. Not only because I think this is a good, it's a good kind of tipping point where you're either putting together the skills that we've been accumulating over the trimester or you're not. And if you're not at this point, you're going to run into real big trouble moving forward. So last week, Friday, the video briefly talked about what we're going to be doing moving forward, and it's basically an extension of all the things that we've talked about and some things that we haven't yet, which is particularly photography. So if you're not able to manipulate text, if you're not able to manage layers and objects and use the direct and general selection tools to create these vector images like we did with the logo projects, if you're not understanding saving, formatting correctly, things like that, it's going to really cause you a problem. And unfortunately, it's going to cause you the biggest problem on the biggest assignment at the end of the trimester, which is what we're starting, that infographic project. So that's why it's important that we all make sure we're where we need to be by the end of the logo project. So in that video, I asked you guys to start some initial research on what you want to do for the topic of the infographic. So I believe, let's see, where do I have that? I asked you to brainstorm some different things. And it could have been everything from big to small. It could be global warming. It could be down to your favorite color. That seems a little boring, but I wouldn't, want to limit you here. I then recommended that you are able to write out 10 to 15 facts. So if it's a big topic like global warming, sure, you can find 10 to 15 different facts or statistics pretty easily. I want you to gather those, as many as you can. If it's something that's more personal, opinion-based, write them out. We're not going to probably use 10 or 15, but we want to be able to choose the best, not only ideas, but also the ones that are presentable in infographic form the best. So I asked for that to go onto a Google Doc, and that's fine. I'm going to assume you all did that, but I didn't provide you a place to share that, which I now have. There is now a folder called, what is it called? It would be called infographic. Do I need to refresh this? Perhaps. Infographic references. Okay, that's where I'd like you to put that Google Doc that has a list of topics, the 10 or 15 different facts for that topic. And I also asked you to look up different ways that you can present information in an infographic, whether that be different types of charts, different images, formatting and laying out text, numbers, in just a more graphic way than simply writing it out. So finding as many examples of that as you can, the more the better. No real requirement there. What I'm going to ask that you add to that now is where we're going to transition, rather than generating our own ideas perhaps, into finding other established ideas. So we have practice at this. We have our logo, not sketches, but our logo mood board. So in the past, I had you guys do a Google slide. I think let's just keep it on the Google Doc that you would have already started, but you're basically doing the same thing. So where you may have been looking for different fonts, different other logos or photographs that you liked, color palettes, things like that, do that again. But now we're going to do it for your particular topic, for your infographic poster, we're going to call it. We'll call it an infographic poster. Which brings me to what exactly specifically would we benefit from. Of course, different fonts and colors, but when you Google good poster design, you get lots of really good designs. But generally, a poster is going to have less information than what we're going to ultimately want to put on ours. It depends on the poster. If you find graphics or layout that you like, even if it's not like this is not an infographic, but if you like the idea of this asymmetrical use of positive and negative space, great. Same story. Put it on there. We'll figure out a way. This idea could be easily adapted to be a infographic. So good poster design. Typing into Google is a great start. What else did I type in? Good infographic examples. Didn't yield what I wanted. Honestly, I think most of these are really generic and kind of boring. Like this one about vegetarianism doesn't dramatically look that different from any other topic. It's got like a green palette to it. Great. So I'm not saying that this can't yield good results, but just the examples that I found weren't the most interesting. Something that I've liked doing recently is just typing in graphic design or posters or graphic design trends. See trends? Trends. 2023. And it gives you all kinds of stuff. Obviously, it's going to be more contemporary. It's going to be trendier, which means the people designing this are aware of what good and bad and new and old graphic design is. So I've honestly a lot of times just stolen font and color ideas and then adapt from there. This is going to be all over the place on what sort of layout or purpose there is, but you can see these super saturated, almost neon colors are a pretty big theme. So that's another, I mean, you can find inspiration anywhere you want, your own Pinterest or whatever it might be, but we're looking for at least 15 references. And again, it does not have to be, probably shouldn't be exclusively 15 infographics. Anything that you can draw or reference from, that is valid, and it goes on your Google Doc with your other resources. When I return, almost certainly on Tuesday, I would expect that our logos are turned in correctly. We have a Google Doc with our topic, some facts that we can reference for our topic, and certainly most of the way through finding references for our poster, our infographic poster. If you are not at that spot, you're going to be behind. When I get back, we'll have a lot to do, of course, wrapping up our logos. But before we can get too far into this infographic design project, there's another visual component that we have no experience with, which is the photography aspect. So we have to fit that in there too, all before the trimester ends, and I assure you it will end quickly. So message me with any questions, but I do think that we all should have plenty to do to fill at least one more day.